Gang, are you looking for better sleep and relaxation or relief from pain or anxiety without feeling totally drugged? Well, let me tell you about True Hemp Science full spectrum CBD products. True Hemp Science promises premium quality, pure ingredients, and true value. They source the highest grade organic hemp from around the world to handcraft the finest full spectrum CBD products in the Austin area and beyond. They offer a complete line of full-spectrum CBD products, including oils, tinctures, skincare lotions, sports rubs, gummies, and chocolates. Gang, I've been using their products for a while now, and they've lowered my anxiety and given me incredibly restful sleep. How Did I Get Here is teamed up with True Hemp Science to bring you a very special offer that benefits all of us. Spend $100 or more at True Hemp Science, and they will include either the number 81 distillate, which is great for nighttime, or the number 23 distillate, which is great for daytime, with your order. And that is a $25 value. Just go to truehempscience.com/HDIGH. That's truehempscience.com/HDIGH and balance your body and mind with True Hemp Science full spectrum CBD products. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
When we talked,
All right. Hello, I'm Johnny. I'm your host, and welcome to the show. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I hope that you had a wonderful New Year and that you maybe you made some resolutions. Maybe you're sticking to them. Today's the 3rd. People start dropping off around then, right? This show drops on January 3rd. Sometimes people drop. This year, I'll be honest with you, I have the same New Year's resolutions that you make on New Year's. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to be more productive. I'm going to try and be better at what I do. I'm going to try and be more present all the time. All that stuff. The eating better and exercise and being more productive. I've kind of leaned into it, but not full on the way that I should by the 3rd, right? Maybe I'll ease into my resolutions and not really like blow them out at the beginning and then like fizzle out. Anyway, I hope you guys all had a great New Year's. I had a really good New Year's Eve. Skyrocket played in Houston at Last Concert Cafe, and we did this weird show like from 7 to 8:45 on New Year's Eve. And we thought it might be, a bad scene. Like no one might come. It might be a bomb of a show, but it ended up being really great. People came. They were very enthusiastic, and we ended up really playing like one of the best shows I think we've ever played. That's such a good time playing that show. It was really, really fun. It was fun, getting back to my grandma's at 9:30, ringing the New Year with my aunts and my uncle, Chuck. Really, really nice weekend. Then New Year's Day, I was going to come back early and start on my on my resolutions and all that stuff. And my grandma woke up; she wasn't feeling well, and I was like, well, maybe I should just stay and hang out, one more night. Come back early on Monday, and that's what I did. Came back early on Monday, got back to work, got back to the podcast, gang. Yeah, first one back. Rosie Flores, legendary guitar slinger. Great conversation with her. You will hear that next Tuesday. But gang, today, I have an amazing show for you today. My dear friend and amazingly talented woman, Jaimee Harris, is my guest on the show today. She returns to the show. I think this is her 5th time, maybe, or 6th time. I don't know. Her new album, Boomerang Town, coming out on 30 Tigers on February 17th. That's when it drops. Produced by Mark Hallman. There's some singles out right now. Really, really great. Love is Gonna Come Again. That's one you'll hear. That's the latest one. Missing Someone, which is a fantastic single that's out there. Get out there and check it out. She actually starts her Florida tour today. She's doing a 2023 Florida tour starting off tonight, January 3rd in Winter Haven, Florida, and finishing up on January 11th. She's touring the whole state of Florida, gang. Go to JaimeeHarris.com to get involved with that. Also, she'll be doing a release show on February 25th here, a record release show on February 25th at Seaboys. So go to JaimeeHarris.com, find out when she's coming to a town near you, find out when you can get Boomerang, where you can get Boomerang, early order Boomerang, whatever you have to do to get it. It's fantastic. Produced by my dear friend and mentor, Mark Hallman. The songs, as usual, Jaimee Harris, she gets in there and explores the generational arc of family, the struggles of addiction, the fragilities that bind us as Americans, and that bond us as Americans. She really explores all of the battles that she's had. She's got some great songs on here. Amazing songs as usual. We get into all kinds of stuff, depression, trying to get back on track, physical issues. She had recently had lap band surgery, and she's been really public talking about it on social media and really open about it. And she was really open with me about it. And we have a really great conversation about it. So listen, without further ado, we're going to go all the way back to November when we actually had this conversation. But this is me and my dear friend, Jaimee Harris, on the first podcast of 2023. This is me and Jaimee Harris chatting it up. Let's get down.
Love is gonna come again. Maybe when you're not quite looking. Maybe tonight, my friend. Maybe when you're driving, love will call and you will fall.
How are you? You're jet lagged?
I'm doing great. I'm for sure jet lagged, but it was incredible playing over there.
Where you went to Europe and UK, or just UK this time?
Yeah, we were in the Netherlands for 2 weeks.
Oh, nice.
And then we were in England, and we did one gig in Scotland.
Oh, nice.
So 2 weeks in the UK, 2 weeks in the Netherlands. Yeah, it was fabulous.
Jaimee Harris. Marie Gaucher.
Yes.
So
yeah,
they went...
there's a Mary.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I didn't have anything cool to say.
Oh, good. We're like a minute into it, and it's over. It's really great to see your face. I was thinking you've been through, you've done so much stuff. You got a brand new record coming out, and this is your third record with Mark Hallman, even though this is like your second official. Is that right? Because in the Congress House sessions, and then he did Red Rescue, or some of Red Rescue as well.
Yeah, so he mixed and mastered most of Red Rescue. He mastered all of it, mixed about 80% of it.
Okay.
But Craig Ross produced the first record. But,
right.
But yeah, working with Mark on the Congress House sessions was so encouraging, and just being in the space of being in the Congress House was really comfortable. And when I was figuring out what I wanted to do with this record, Mark was an obvious choice. One, because we made this record, I think maybe about a month before everyone got their second vaccine. So the way that we did it was pretty much the whole record is only me, Mark, and Andre. We brought in Sammy Powell from Western Youth, and then Betty Sue and Chris Nelson came and sang on it. And we had a couple other things flown in, but mostly it's Mark playing almost everything.
Well, who played this?
Really
who played the strings on like the song Sam's?
Oh, on Sam's, Brian Standifer.
Okay.
So he flew those in, and then there's Michele Gazic played on the Fair and Dark-Haired Lad, who's a fantastic violin player from Italy. So he recorded in Venice and sent us the tracks. And then another friend of mine who I met in a pandemic named David Mansfield. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he was the violin player on the Rolling Thunder tour with Bob Dylan. And he played with so many incredible folks. He played with Bruce Hornsby for a long time, and he's just an incredible musician, an incredible person. And
Rolling Thunder was like 75, 76, right?
Yeah.
I saw him play at the concert for the Hurricane.
Did you really?
I mean, I don't remember him, but I saw him play. Yeah.
Wow.
I was like 7 years old.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. You want to hear the lineup for that show of what I can remember?
Yeah.
Isaac Hayes, Stevie Wonder, Santana. There was this guy, Sean Phillips, who's also touring right now.
That name's familiar.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Anyway, and of course, Bob Dylan. Ringo was playing. It was crazy.
Whoa, 7 years old. So this is what happened to you, Johnny. This is when the molecules collided.
You know what I remember most of that show is Isaac Hayes. I'd never seen a guy like that. It was like when he would wear no shirt, but like a chainmail gold vest. And these sunglasses, and he was bald and so intense and awesome looking. And his music was so different than what played in my house that I was really kind of blown away by him.
incredible.
Yeah. Anyway, Jaimee, this album's gorgeous and beautiful. You are such a great singer. I was going through this thing and I was like, I need to tell her she sings her ass off on this song. Oh, I need to tell her she sings her ass. And then I just realized, like, you just sing your ass off. You are such. I'm trying to find the right words for this because the way that you convey emotions, I guess the way you emote vocally when you're singing in a melody and just even the shape of your mouth, everything is so committed to that I feel so much of what you sing. I don't know. It blows me away. You're such an amazing singer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that. I learned a trick along the way that has really helped me, which is, I used to never really write any of my songs down. But in 2016, well, my theory for that was, if it's not good enough for me to remember it, it's not good enough to be in the song. So I need to play it till I can remember it. But where that left a lot to be desired was editing. So in 2016, I got in this car wreck. I got a brain injury. And so it's more difficult for me to remember anything now. And so as a result of that, I started writing my songs down, which of course has led, I think, to me improving tremendously as a songwriter because I've edited and edited and edited. And I really did with this record. And what I've learned by doing that is taking out words that don't create a lot of meaning in the song. And so that allows me to pay attention. So sometimes when I'm in the writing process, I'll bold a word that needs to be emphasized, or I'll underline it if I'm handwriting. And that's shown me where to put attention in the melody, to draw attention to words that are supposed to mean more. Not supposed to, that do mean more.
Right.
So my voice then follows that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did it sound like a mad scientist crazy thing? Okay.
No, the other thing too is like, I imagine then also there must be, now that I've locked in with Gaucher and her musical trip and that's an intimidating, that's an intimidating situation for you to be in.
It's been really great. Well, first of all, I met her at a songwriting workshop. She was co-teaching with Eliza Gilkison and Gretchen Peters, who's another one of my favorite artists. And so that's how we met. And so I've been very open to learning from her in a really big way. And it's been an incredible asset to have her in the house.
Yeah.
To take stuff to her and go, what do you think about this? Or, hey, could you come into this song? And we've been co-writing more since the pandemic than we ever have. And it's been really great for both of us. But yeah, it's like, why would I not I think she's one of the best songwriters of our time. Why would I not use that as a resource? But at the same time, I have realized that I have to be in a certain place where I'm like, it's a very vulnerable thing still to take your song to somebody else and go, what do you think about this? Even if you trust them completely. So I have to be secure enough in myself to take it and go, okay, now I'm ready for some help.
I don't know if people verbalize this to you, but you are one of the great songwriters of our time.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
That's true. With the limited amount of material that you have out, it's like it's all home run stuff. So
that means a lot, Johnny.
No, it's true. It really is. Like, and I thought about this. There's a couple things. Another thing about singing that I forgot that I was thinking about. I was listening to your record when I was driving home from San Antonio after my gig. So it might have sounded weird because my ears were ringing. But I discovered this thing that I know what an influence Eliza Gilkison has been on you. And there's a thing that you have that she has. Her vocal delivery has a fucking swagger to it.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very rock and roll. It's very like in the spirit of not like Chrissy Hynde, but on that sort of level of like, you know who you're hearing and they're like, hey, this is what I'm the way that they're saying it, like they're kind of leaning into you. And you have that as well. You have a great swagger in your delivery that's like a confidence that makes you feel good as a listener.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, this podcast is over. Nice talking to you. Bye.
later.
No one's ever told you that before?
No, you know what? One time, I'll never forget this, but I played Kerrville, the Kerrville Folk Festival 2 years ago. And it was right before John Gorka. And this is one of two times ever in my life I've ever had a conversation with him. It wasn't really a conversation, really. I spoke with him. But I came off stage and he looked at me so intensely in the eyes and he said, "You're a boxer when you get up there.
Fuck yeah, you are.
You stand up to the mic and you're a boxer."
Yeah.
And then he went on stage. I was like, "Thank you." And I have carried that with me. Because I think he's right. I do kind of like have a stance that I take. And I'm like, I'm here to make this count. You
do, and I don't remember. I don't know if you remember this, but I can't even remember where it was. But there was a couple of times that I saw you play in a very short period of time where you were ripping some leads on some people's stuff, and I was like, "Fuck, man, you're awesome." And it wasn't like you were like Eric Johnson or some shit. It was like the confidence that you put forth, like added to that song. You were like, and that's that boxer stance that John Gorka was talking about. Who is that guy? Somebody I know used to listen to him a lot. Wasn't he like on A&M or something like that?
Probably. He might have been on Columbia. He's a great, he is a great folk singer. He runs around with Eliza sometimes as well. They teach together. They made a record together with, I think, Lucy Caplanti called Red Horse. And I believe had a project together. But he's just a serious badass songwriter. Super badass.
I sang a Lucy Kaplansky song at one of my best friend's weddings. Reception.
Oh, that's so
weddings.
Sweet. I love that.
Something like that. Yeah. Maybe their first dance or something.
Oh.
Yeah. Do people ask you to do that? Your friends? Like now that people are getting... You're 30...
You know what?
Early 30s?
I won't do it.
You won't do it?
Yeah, 32. No, because I have sung in some weddings, and every time it has been such a complete disaster that I'm convinced it's a curse. Like I had, so like one time, I think I was maybe 17, maybe 18. I had some high school friends that asked me to sing in their wedding, and we had done the rehearsal the day before, and I was going to come up from the congregation and play the song that she walked down the aisle to the bride walked down the aisle to with her dad.
Right.
But at the last minute, right before the ceremony, everyone decided, you know what? Why don't you wait in the choir loft where the groomsmen are going to come out of? And then you just listen. And after this particular moment, you'll know that's your sign to come out and play the song. And so the groomsmen, go out, and I'm back there, and I realized, like, I can't hear anything back here. So I decided I should probably try to, like, crack the door so I can hear what's going on. And I realized I couldn't get the door open. I was stuck. So that led to many minutes of me, like, physically trying. Let me tell you, 17-year-old Jaimee, zero athletic ability, zero strength, like, nothing on my side. So I basically, like, heave-hoed the door and, like, stumbled onto the stage. Do you call it a stage at a church? I don't know. I should know. I spent many years in churches, so I can't, So then right at the exact moment. So there was that. There was another time, beautiful couple, friends of mine, Luke and Michelle Franks. Luke was in a great band called the Federalists. They flew me to San Francisco to play one song for their wedding. One song. That's all I had to do. And it was a blessing. It was, sometimes you get asked to sing a song for a wedding and you're like, oh man, I got to learn this. This is a song, like, it was a Brandi Carlile song. I knew the song. I was like, this is going to be a piece of cake. This will be great. Second verse, a fly flies into the back of my throat, and there was no covering it up. It's like, like just the worst. I was like, I couldn't believe it. These people flew me to San Francisco to sing one song, and I totally blew it. So I pretty much don't want to play weddings for any reason ever.
I occasionally am tapped in Skyrocket just to do like a first dance kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Falls on, or I have to play piano and Trish sings or something. Like that's the most pressure of anything.
Oh yeah. I agree. I think it's like, this is the most important moment in this couple's life. I don't want to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Imagine,
I think I crumble under the pressure of it.
yeah. Can I tell you a story? It just came to my memory.
Please, please.
When Brian and Joy Standifer got married. So this relates to your record. Brian played strings on the record. When Brian and Joy got married, first of all, they asked my ex-wife and I, like, who married you guys? Didn't you guys have like a cool dude? And I was like, oh yeah, it was my friend Reverend Tim from Houston. He's badass. But Tim was going through like a massive like drinking phase. So he was wasted. And like the wedding starts, and he like the wedding starts. He's like, all right, everyone, Brian and Joyce Sanford. Oh man, where's my book where I had the sermon written? I left it in the car. Hang on a second. Let me just run to the car and get the little book.
No.
So also they had asked my friend Billy White. Did you ever know him, or Pam Miller?
No. No.
They were around. They moved away like in the early 2000s, but they still lived here during that time. Or I don't know if they came back from New York during this. But the three of us were playing the music for the processional, and Billy was like, "Hey, why don't you play harmonium? Do you know what that is? It's like it's like a little hand pump keyboard for those of you guys listening. So you pump it and then you play it, and so it's like a little pump organ, and I was playing it, and I pumped it up too much. And in the middle of do you, Brian, I like leaned forward on the keys, and it was like,
oh no.
No, I just remember apologizing to Brian and Joy after that thing, man. It was just we were so, and then that guy was staying with me and my ex-wife at the time. We were married at the time, and it was the saddest drive home. Like, with him in the car all wasted.
Oh my God. Crazy.
We can laugh about it now. Hey, Jaimee, this year you also underwent a surgery.
I did.
Talk about this. Explain this to the listeners and why and what it did for you.
Yeah, thank you. So over the course of, I think, about 9, maybe verging on 10 years, I've lost 175 pounds, give or take. So back when I was drinking, I weighed 300 pounds.
You
and
did?
I did, yeah. And I've struggled with my weight my whole life. Pretty much starting at age 8, I think, is when I started getting really heavy, and I was teased for it, and that whole thing. And, I still have pretty severe body dysmorphia, but it took me a while to lose a lot of that weight. And part of it, I got really fortunate. My day job was working in healthcare when I lived in Austin. So I worked for an acupuncture clinic, I worked for a chiropractor, and I worked for a weight loss clinic and a thyroid specialist. So like the acupuncture folks and the chiropractor, Dr. Bandy, who still comes to my shows sometimes, he's fabulous, Dr. Mike Bandy. He was able to figure out some food allergies I had, which was really helpful. And of course, quitting drinking. I was a beer drinker, so that's like so many calories. So that was really helpful. Eventually I found out I had hormone issues, which is really a struggle for a lot of women. It particularly causes you to keep weight around your abdomen.
Yeah.
And then I found out, when I went through the thyroid cancer thing, and then I got on the right thyroid medication, that really helped. Then I, completely changed my diet in a huge way, but it's been a long process. And so one of the benefits for me of the pandemic was, before I moved to Nashville, I was working all the time, and as you know, out seeing music in Austin and hanging out and singing with as many folks as I could and playing when I could and just having a great time. But I never built in a workout program into my life. So in the pandemic, I started doing this online workout thing called Camp Gladiator with a friend of mine who is a coach from high school. A friend of mine from high school who's a coach. She lost a lot of weight after she had a baby and posted a picture online and was just ripped. And I was like, whoa, what is that? I want to do that. And so I started working out 5 or 6 days a week during the pandemic, which has been great because I've been able to keep that up on the road, not 5 times a week, but, maybe 3 times a week. Because it's a habit now.
Right.
So at some point I started working with a personal trainer, And I really was struggling and just saying like, man, like whatever I do, I see my body changing, but I cannot get this midsection dealt with. And it feels different than anything else when I'm working out. I feel like I'm carrying dead weight. Well, it wasn't long after that. I went to ride roller coasters with a friend of mine in Tampa who had recently had gastric bypass surgery. And he was the first person to tell me, well, you know, when you're quite heavy and you lose all that weight, sometimes your skin and your muscles separate from the rest of your body. And no matter what you do, you can't get that down. And it happens quite often to women, although a lot of women don't talk about it after they have a baby or if they have a C-section, they have, you know, this gap.
Right.
And so we said, you could, you know, you might want to look in to see if you need surgery. And I said, oh, I don't know. I can probably do it. You know, I don't know if that's true. And I started looking it up, and sure enough, it's a thing. And once again, I had a lunch with a good friend of mine, Sid Bullins, who's fantastic songwriter and musician. He used to play with Elton John. He's fabulous.
Wow.
And he said the same thing. I'm a trainer, or he used to be a trainer, and he said, it's really a thing. You should look into it. So we have this resource in Nashville called Music Health Alliance. There's a woman named Tatum who helps musicians here figure out crazy health stuff. And I said, do you think it's a possibility that I could get this covered by my insurance? And she said, I'll look into it. Because she loves a challenge. She's like, no one's ever asked me about this before,
right,
but I'll look into it. So she found me a surgeon, and the surgeon it was really validating. I mean, I started crying because he said, you could wake up every day of your life and do sit-ups from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, and you can never get rid of this. It's physically impossible. You're going to have surgery. And so that was liberating. And he also said only 2% of the patients he sees have been able to lose the amount of weight and keep it off for as long as I have without surgery. Wow. So the thing that I have a lot of shame about, like in a way it was very encouraging to hear somebody say that. So I went through the surgery. They did, you know, it's a tummy tuck as it's known, and they didn't, my insurance wouldn't fully cover it because they would only cover the skin, but not the muscle repair. Because, you know, if I had had surgery, my insurance would have covered that. If I had weight loss surgery. Sorry to be confusing. Like I said, I'm jet lagged. I'm a little out of my mind. So I got a grant from Music Care. You know, a lot of musicians don't know, but the Grammys, that's what they do. They fund healthcare for musicians. And so I got a grant from Music Care, thank goodness, that helped me cover about half of the surgery. And I was able to get the surgery I needed. And it's been really wild. Just today, I was at the trainer, and he had me do some planks. And I almost started crying because I was like, I can feel the difference. This is the first, I can feel the difference of not having just dead weight. I feel what my muscles are actually supposed to be doing.
That's awesome.
But it's been great. But part of it, what's really weird, is coming out of that surgery. And of course, you're swollen for a while. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big recovery. There's a lot of stuff that they don't tell you when you have the surgery that you need to have done. But the thing that was kind of disheartening in a way was just like the severity of the body dysmorphia, and just looking and going, it looks the same. And having a doctor and a nurse and my partner tell me, no, it doesn't. Like, it's gone. It looks so different. But still seeing it, it's a trip. It's a trip. But I can feel the difference now. And some days I see it. But man, it is a trip, but I'm really, really glad I did it. I already feel more confident on stage, knowing that, you know, because it's really difficult. It's been really difficult for me to find clothes, because in a lot of places I'll be a size 4, but in my stomach I'm like, I was a size 12 or something.
Yeah.
A lot of illusions.
I've been going through that stuff myself, is aging, and then like not really stopping myself from eating crazy shit sometimes.
Yeah.
And when I'm stressed. And that's the fucked up thing, is that the food thing is like the weirdest part about it, because there's no, like, quitting drinking, quitting smoking, quitting drugs. You don't need them, but you have to make some kind of reconciliation with food to get through that stuff.
Yeah, someone put it in a way that made a lot of sense to me, which is comparing it to being in, you know, recovery from alcohol addiction, which is, well, you still drink, but you just choose not to drink alcohol.
Right.
So I think, you know, you make a choice not to, like, for me, it's a really good thing if I don't eat bread most of the time.
Right.
I don't
right.
eat sugar most of the time. You know?
Right.
So I think part of it too is, and I think a lot of people my age struggle with it, is growing up in the 90s, the situation with food in public schools was insane. They could still market any type of food to children, Fruitopia, vending machines. Like, it was a lot of Pop-Tarts, toaster strudels, fast foods, like on steroids.
Yeah.
That was marketed to a lot of millennials. And so I think a lot of us had to figure out, if we didn't have parents that had a particularly healthy diet, we had to figure out a lot of stuff on our own. And luckily, Austin, I mean, it's very easy to eat healthy in Austin.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is.
Great grocery stores, great, even a taco
Yeah.
can have vegetables in it,
It's funny that you say that, because I have these memories of, like, in I think it was like maybe 6th grade or junior high or something. When you went in, you could go through the lunch line, or you could or you could just grab some snacks through a snack line, and those snacks had like Little Debbie's Star Crunch and shit like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those things were like 15 cents, like in 1983. So I just sounded like an old person when I said that. But my mom was such a severe sort of like health food Nazi. Like, I would say that like 40% of the reason why we moved to Austin when we did was because we would be able to go to that Whole Foods every single day. That one that was on 10th and Lamar, like the original one. Anyway, so I did it as an act of rebellion. Like, once I was like, "Oh, Mom, you know what? I don't want to make lunch anymore. Can you just give me the money for lunch?" Like, "Yeah, how much is lunch?" Like, what, $1.25 or something? Okay. Well, that was like 4 Star Crunches for lunch for me.
Yeah.
I
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there's a woman, a girl I went to school with who's a woman now, Erin Hopkins, and I remember she always had a very healthy lunch. And I think about this. Sometimes I'm just driving and I think about this, and Erin Hopkins, and how people made fun of her. I think I was part of that. I think I teased her about her healthy lunch. Like, why do you eat that? And many times in adulthood, I've got, oh my gosh, I wish that I had eaten Erin Hopkins' lunch. I wish that I'd eaten healthy stuff growing up.
Right. That's the thing, is like, it was embarrassing. Like, I had kids like on November 1st would like get on the bus and be like, "Dude, your mom gave me a fucking apple last night." You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to this record, because there's something I realized I didn't forget. I didn't want to forget to talk about "Missing Someone," which is the single that's out. Is there going to be another single before the release?
Yeah, we're putting out a single November 30th, which is a song I co-wrote with Graham Weber called "Love Is Gonna Come Again," and then the radio single comes out in February. In January, January 11th.
What's the radio single?
It's called "The Fair and Dark-Haired Lad." Okay.
Yeah, I see that. That's a great song too, by the way.
Thank you.
I love that song, "Love Is Gonna Come Again." I didn't realize you wrote that with the great Graham. So "Missing Someone" did you write that on your own or what?
I did.
That sounds like a song like someone could do that song tomorrow, and I would hear it in my sister's husband's truck in Miami on their country station.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
in the
funny
best
that
way
you say
possible,
that.
too. Like, it's not like you sacrifice some kind of shit. You just did a thing that works in that way.
Totally. Yeah. I think in my mind, do you remember an artist that was really popular in the 90s named Jody Messina?
Yes,
She's
I
a
do.
country star, but she cut excellent songs. And I think Byron Gallimore produced her stuff, who works a lot with Tim McGraw, and has always had great songs in his realm, what he works with. And that's what I felt. I felt like if I had written that in the 90s, that Jody Messina would have cut it. Like, that version of country. I don't know what is happening with country now as far as pop country. It's, I don't know if that song would make sense in as country as we know it today. But yeah, I feel like there would have been commercials to appeal to that like 25 years ago.
I feel like it now, though.
Oh, really? That's cool.
I mean, it's not produced like a Nashville country thing.
No, but it could go there.
It could, yeah. This record sounds great. Well, you and Hallman have a great thing together, and Andre, honestly. And that's Hallman playing drums?
Yeah, Hallman played almost everything. And I think the smartest thing I did with this record is I said, you do it. Like, whatever you think we should do, I think I had strong opinions maybe about two things, or there were a couple people I wanted to bring in. But I said, Mark, you do it. And one of the reasons I wanted to work with him too is because I feel like no one that I've worked with so far really knows my voice as well as Mark does. Because he's been so generous to invite me in and sing harmonies on other people's records. So he's heard me work as a background singer in a bunch of different genres. He's seen me solo. He's seen me with a band. He really knows the range of what I can do. And so I know if Mark tells me, like, you haven't got it, you got to go further, that I can really trust him.
Yeah.
And I knew I wouldn't be like performing for him. Does that make sense? I just feel totally at ease. And wow, now that the Congress House is closed, I feel so fortunate that I made this record there. I would have been really sad if I did the Congress House sessions, but that was like a live thing.
Right.
Mostly. To actually work with Mark and his kingdom was so beautiful and special for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's moved. I went and moved shit out of there. I got a free amp out of it.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I was walking out with this amp that Hallman used to let me use when I was a teenager.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
I was like, hey, look, it's this amp. He's like, yeah, man. I was like, where do you want me to put it? He's like, put it in your car, man.
Oh, gotta love him.
I love him too. I love that amp too. I had very great memories of like learning and practicing my Mark Hallman material.
That's
using
fantastic.
that amp. Yeah. Yeah. What a great thing. So who all hold on. There's a song that has these incredibly rich harmonies. It's either Fall Devon's song or Love Is Gonna Come Again. Which one? Both of them?
I think both of them I'm singing on those. So in Love Is Gonna Come Again, I sing a higher and a lower part with myself, and then pretty sure the same for Fall.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that. I got to double check that. And of course, one of my favorite moments on the record with Fall is that Mark sings on the very last chorus of that song. And every time his voice comes in, it just fills my heart with gratitude.
Such a great singer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I do a lot of shit that is from him. His ex-wife listened to music of mine from like 10 years ago and was like, oh my God, like he rubbed off on you so much. I guess when you
we should be so lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because the guy that rubbed off on me wasn't 70s Navarro Mark, and it wasn't like Ian Matthews Mark. It's this weird 80s like Cry Wolf Mark.
Oh yeah, I've seen the hair. Yeah.
With spiky
absolutely.
hair. Yeah.
Yes, I know the haircut you're talking.
Yeah. He makes me nervous playing in front of him. I did a show with a band last year, and it was super fun. I did it with Bell Sounds at 310. It was super cool. But he was there, and at one point I was feeling it like I'd stopped playing guitar in the verse, and I just was like in a zone with my eyes closed and my hands were doing these things. And I opened my eyes, and he's standing in front of me going,
voguing, basically.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious and funny. Anyway, okay, so there was a line that got me. It's funny because I listened to this album in so many different ways, like on headphones walking the dog, and then just around that, like while I'm doing stuff in the house. The other cool thing is like I'm allowed to keep on listening to this until it comes out, right? I never gave I'll never give anyone the link. But I can keep on listening because I really, Jaimee, this record's just so gorgeous. But there was a line that jumped out on me, and I think it's on the surface. I fought the battle with the sword and lost the battle with the Lord.
Won the battle with the Lord. Yeah,
I won a battle with the Lord. Sorry.
Yeah, I fought the battle with the sword and won the battle with the Lord.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got to write more clearly. That does say bottle. Anyway, what an amazing line.
Thank you. So that song was written at the songwriting workshop that I went to with Eliza and Gretchen and Mary. And Mary gave out this prompt, which was the poem written, the Emma Lazarus poem written on the Statue of Liberty. And I had recently, it was kind of crazy. Normally I spend every July at the Woody Guthrie Festival in Okemah, Oklahoma. But that year I was going to the workshop, and so I wasn't planning on going at all, but they did a tribute to Jimmy LaFave because that was the year that Jimmy passed. And so I drove through the night from Okima, and I'd also recently been in Terlingua, and we were hiking the San Elena Canyon, me and Jane Ellen Bryant and our friend Caleb. And it was so crazy because when you're hiking that canyon, you see the Rio Grande, and then you look over and you're like, that's Mexico.
Yeah.
And just the idea of these like divisions between us, and it's like, it's right there.
Yeah.
Like the water is shared.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy. And yeah, I think I was feeling, and that I feel like this song really is a central theme of the record as well, which is after the 2016 election, I had a lot of people that I love and that I felt like really knew me, but only from a certain period of time. So they didn't know that I grew up in the church. That's where I learned how to sing, that I was really by choice, very, very deeply involved in the Baptist church. And so after the election, people would say things like, oh, this, the freaking Christians did this, or I can't believe it's these Christians that blah, 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 this. And I had this thing rise up inside of me that I wasn't fully aware that was there, which is, well, wait a minute. Am I a Christian? Am I still a Christian? My mom isn't like that. That's not how I am. That's not what I am. Like, so this kind of feeling like this need for nuance on both sides.
Yeah.
It's like the generalization is really damaging, coming in all directions.
Yeah.
And so I felt this tornness, and also like one of the ways that I've been able to remain sober is by finding faith in a different way. It's certainly not like a blue-eyed Jesus guy that I'm praying to. It's just something beyond my understanding that I need to look outside of myself so I'm not self-centered, and so I'm, can remember to be of service, and so that I can not spiral into despair. Like I have to have faith in something bigger than me to keep me sober. So that's kind of what that line is about. But yeah, I mean, do you remember Jennifer Knapp by chance? Are you familiar with her? I don't know if she ever crossed your. She was a huge Christian artist, and she came out as a lesbian, and the community turned on her.
Yeah.
And she was one of the first in my memory to do that. And she lives in Nashville now, and we have run into her and had dinner with her a few times. And she told me about this concept that I wasn't aware of called deconstruction. And it's helping people, particularly people that have come out as gay in the Christian community, because if you decide to, quote, leave that community, or you're not involved like I was. I mean, when I was in the church, I ended up being there like 6 days a week. So my world was really centered around that. That was my community. That was my social life. That was everything that I was doing. And part of it is, well, if you want to be in leadership in this way, like let's say you want to serve by playing in the band, then you need to make sure that you're represented at a Bible study. Well, if you're going to do that, you also need to come to discipleship. So what happens is that you end up being at church all the time. Or at least that's what happened to me. I don't think it happens to everybody, but that was my story. And so when I separated from that was a whole community that I separated from.
Right.
And what do you do with that? Where do what do you do when you don't have that ritual in your life?
Yeah.
You don't have those outlets that help you be of service in your community. And that's been your gateway to find those things. And for your social life, for your whole life, what do you do with that? So it's something that I'm realizing. These songs have really helped me realize that it's something I'm struggling with. I'm certainly not even close to the other side of it. It's just brought a lot of stuff up to the surface that makes me go, oh, I need to deal with this. But for some reason, I started writing a lot of these songs in 2016, 2015. So it took me a while to write this record. And a lot of it in the situation that we're in politically, culturally, I figured out what I felt compelled to do was just to share my perspective, which is someone who grew up in the church in a small town, but is gay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know I just went on a huge, huge long
No,
thing, but yeah. So really, that song feels like the center of the idea of the record to me.
Wow. It does hit hard, really hard lyrically. Let me ask you this, because to redefine what your spirituality is, for lack of a better word, or your faith is. I'd prefer the word faith, and spirituality is just it's been watered down by weird people. In your redefinition of your faith, what all did you include from what you learned from all of those years of being involved? Like, what did you take with you?
Oh,
like you must have taken something.
Oh, absolutely. Love your neighbor. If you see someone suffering, extend
Actual
your hand.
Christian stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Good Samaritan stuff, be of service, don't be so, if you get wrapped up in your own misery, then you're probably going to pull other people down with you. So try to have faith that there's something outside of yourself, help. And if you can't get out of yourself, help somebody else. Yeah. Things of that nature I really took with me. And I still, I don't have as much of the ritual, but there was something that happened in the pandemic where now I have a little bit of a morning routine. I journal every day again, like I did. I meditate.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, things like that. And I didn't realize how much I missed that ritual in my life.
Yeah. Do you think that it's things like that let you spin off if you're hurting inside into like alcoholism and throwing yourself into getting wasted?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been so much research now about addiction. It's come a really long way. And I think one of the things that's helping soften the stigma around it is that we have a deeper understanding of trauma, and that most of the time, it seems in a lot of cases that people that are suffering from addiction are suffering from some kind of trauma as well.
Yeah.
That's the root.
Yeah. Do you go to meetings or anything?
I'm in 12 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That helps you that's also a ritual that keeps you in line.
Yeah, huge. And I started doing that oddly more in the pandemic than I ever have before. Yeah. I feel really fortunate. I know that everyone has had a completely different experience in the lockdown, but for me to slow down and build in some healthy stuff in my life has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really great. And that was like being on a lifeboat as well. Having some sort of rock to lean on. We saw a lot of the same people multiple times a week. It just was really incredible to have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, in addition to having music, I just found out I had ADHD during the pandemic. And so I started working with an ADHD coach online. Like I had a lot of support around it. For people that didn't have that, I don't know. I can see why people are falling through space. They didn't have some sort of community. Even for me, like, it was really weird because I left Austin and then I went on the road full time with Mary, and then I eventually moved to Nashville. And so when I would come back to Nashville, I didn't really have friends. I wasn't really plugged into the community here. So it was very lonely for me for a while.
Yeah.
And in the pandemic, when everyone hopped online, I got to hang out with Bonnie Whitmore. Did a thing where she recreated the Continental Club on Zoom.
Yeah, I did one of
and
those.
It was great. You did?
Yeah.
Isn't it cool? Like Ben, the guy who's run the door there for many years, would show up. Stephanie, the bartender, was there.
Yeah.
Other people that I'd hang. So I felt more connected during the pandemic than I had in the 2 years preceding it.
Yeah, that's really good. That whole pandemic thing really fucked with people that have fucked up minds.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Some people came out a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And a lot more grounded, and some people are absolutely falling through space.
Some people also changed their priorities a lot. I mean, I'm in a band. I'm in a band that really had like almost not a totally split view coming back to it. Like, a couple of people were like, "Man, I don't have to do this every weekend." And then a few of us were like, "Let's do it every weekend." Well, I missed that ritual. I mean, so many years of just, being in motion. And I was, I would go for drives in the hill country for like 2.5, 3 hours listening to like podcasts and shit just to feel like I was going somewhere.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. You have a very busy year coming up. What are you doing for the next couple of months, though? Are you hanging low? You just got a few shows here and there?
Yeah, we're hitting the road. I'm doing a tour with Mary in January in Florida, and then I'm starting to do some of my own headlining dates, which is very exciting and also making me a little nervous because I've been an opening act for so many years now that I haven't played a 90-minute set, and I don't even know when. So that's going to be, I hope it's going to be like riding a bike, but that'll be January and February doing some I'm going to do a release show in Austin at Sea Boys, which I think will be very fun.
Oh, what date is that?
February 25th. We'll announce that this week.
Okay.
That'll be great. And yeah, doing some dates in California. And I think I'm finding that I love playing in the Netherlands as well. I think whatever I'm doing seems to resonate with that audience quite well. And just getting back from the UK, that seems to be working as well. So I've a lot of intentions about going back there as well.
Yeah. Good.
I like to be on the road. I love it. I love to play live. I love to be in motion. I love to meet people. I like to see new things and have new experiences, especially growing up, in Hewitt, Texas, which was mostly, no offense to my family and other people I love who are still there, but it was, it was a little bit boring for me. And so I'm still wide-eyed, loving being on the road. I'm not over it. I'm not sick of it.
Yeah.
It fills me up still.
Yeah. You want to hear a funny story real fast about how this came together? The publicist you work with is awesome. She's awesome. She sent me somebody and I passed. And then she was cool enough to be like, hey, so I don't send you more passing shit. Like, what kind of stuff are you into? And I was like, I can't really just tell you what it is, but sometimes I'm just like, nah. You know what I mean? And
yeah, for sure.
And so I kind of told her what I liked in an artist, general things like authenticity, greatness. The first person she writes back is, oh, I've got this amazing artist you would love then. Her name's Jaimee Harris.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
Well, I also was like, dude, you must have done your homework somewhere because yes, that is the kind of artist that I really want to have on my show. Even if I didn't know her. Like, yes. More Jaimee Harris
that's
stuff.
Fantastic. Thanks, Johnny.
Florida's going to be fun.
I love playing in Florida. So Mary got a writing residency in Key West for a month, and so I decided that I wanted to explore Florida because we had done some shows there earlier in the year, and I think Florida is similar to Texas in the way that it definitely has this particular reputation on a national level.
Yeah.
But the people are, they're fantastic people there, and it's funky and weird, and like Texas, you drive an hour and you're a completely different environment, whether it's the landscape or the social environment. And so I was like, I got to check this out. I got to see this for myself. So I started in the panhandle of Florida, and I spent a month driving all the way down to Key West. And I went to a different city every 2 to 3 days in Florida and wrote and recorded a song in each town and had local photographers come and photograph me in the spaces I was working in. And it was awesome. So now I'm really thrilled because a lot of the places that we're playing when we're going back in January are places I stayed and wrote. So now I get to share those songs in those communities locally, and I'm extremely excited.
Fuck, that's rad. What were the
great.
cities you went to?
Okay, let me remember. So I started in Pensacola. I know I did
Pensacola.
Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Hollywood, Key West, of course. I went to this place outside of Gainesville. I found this. One of the things I did was I looked up bodies of water I wanted to check out and like weird things on Atlas Obscura, and that's where I booked places. So someplace outside of Gainesville, close to High Springs, Florida. So there are all these incredible springs there that are just, mind-blowing, where you see the spring coming out. It looks like, those like crazy geodes that they show you in elementary school. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
I never see, and like it was freezing, so almost nobody was there. So I was often the only person in these waters. Where else did I go? Gosh, it's like crazy. Oh, I went to a town that was a little bit outside of Orlando. So that was amazing because I went to Casadega while I was there. Do you know about this? The
No.
spiritualist community?
No.
So there are mediums there. It's very witchy is really the wrong word. I would encourage people to go there and pay the $8, whatever it is, to take the tour because it's incredible. But basically, these people practice seances and they talk about the idea that they're ultimately scientists who believe that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And so there's a connection with the spirit world. That was wonderful. I got to see Blue Springs, and the manatees were migrating at that time. So there were over 400 manatees in the spring. It was wild. I went to also this really has stuck with me, and I'm still working on the song because it's just not right yet, but I got to finish it. But I visited the Pulse Memorial, the Pulse nightclub shooting memorial.
Oh, shit.
And I kept saying, I'm not writing a song about that, I'm not writing a song about that. And I'm still writing that song because what hit me there was that there were 49 people that were killed in that shooting. And they've got on the memorial, there are only 48 names listed. And the reason for that is that one of the deceased family didn't want his name to be shared because they didn't know he was gay until the shooting happened and they were ashamed of him. And they didn't even want to come pick up his body.
You got to write that song.
And I'm working on it. I'm really, really working. I'm trying out different perspectives because I got to get it right. So that's been, almost a year that I've been working on that. And I picked it up after Colorado Springs. And so, that was a heavy trip. Oh, I went to Miami as well, Miami Springs. That song is really, really haunting me.
I'm only laughing because...
It's really fun.
sorry, go ahead. I was born in Miami.
Another thing that you were.
And I'm from there. And my experience with Florida is not nearly as magical. It's like you're describing this magical place, and I was like, I got to stop going to Miami.
You know what, Miami, I have to say, I really lucked out. I got to stay in this incredible Airbnb that was wonderful. And the photographer I worked with there, I loved and have really stayed in touch with. But I never caught the vibe of Miami. I never really, really settled in there. I loved the house that I stayed in, but I mostly worked on that Orlando song in Miami.
Okay.
I'll tell you one of my favorite things that I did, and this was recommended to me by my songwriter friend Grant Peoples, who lives in Tallahassee. So there's a place called Wakulla Springs. Do you know about this outside of Tallahassee?
No.
There's this crazy old, I'd say grand hotel, but it has the oldest working elevator in Florida. It's a trip. They've got this stuffed alligator in there that was allegedly one of the friendliest alligators in Florida. Florida lore, who knows? And he was murdered, and no one knew who murdered him, and it was a big deal. And, but this Wakulla Springs is one of the best $8 I ever spent. You can get a riverboat tour there. It used to be owned by this rich guy who, wanted to own the land, and some people could come in, but now it's owned by the state of Florida. And this is where Creature of the Black Lagoon was filmed.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool. So when you take the riverboat tour, there's, first of all, just the nature. There's manatees, there are crazy birds, there's alligators that come up that didn't freak me out because the land has been protected for so long. The only boats that they've seen are these riverboats.
Right.
So they don't have a fear of them. And they get, they kind of are just doing their thing out there. And that was fascinating.
That's awesome.
And I had never seen Creature of the Black Lagoon, which is insane because I'm a horror fanatic. So I watched it while I was there, which was cool. And I ended up writing, Johnny,
what?
I forgot about this. One of the things I did, so I was in St. Petersburg and I went to the Dali Museum.
Oh, nice.
And one of the best exercises about this thing was I didn't take myself too seriously because I was just trying to write songs, So that was the idea, was to get a song. So some things dropped in that were serious and like really meaningful, and other stuff I'm just like, wow, this is really a jam that I wouldn't have written because, when I sit down to write, it's
right.
it's your thing. So I ended up writing this song called Lobster Telephone, which is inspired by this piece that Dolly created, which is a telephone and the receiver is a lobster and the whole thing is painted white. And so one of the things that I did was I got really experimental and I put all of these voicemails from my friends in the song, and you're in there. And this thing happens, which is so cool because at the end you sing, yes, you did. Yeah. You sing, you never call me anymore. And just the timing, and it happened to be the exact key of the song. So that's how it ends, is with your voice singing
amazing.
Over it. Yeah. It was a blast.
Did you send it to me? I remember that.
I did. I think I did send it to you.
Yeah. Jaimee, you're so cool, man. Thanks for putting
I'm
me in the
sorry that I went into a launch into that for so long.
No, I
got really excited about it.
I love Salvador Dali so much.
Yeah.
I really do. I do like
too.
He's one of those guys that like it makes sense to me. Like I get his thing.
Yeah. Me too. And it's funny because some people, I don't know I didn't go to college very long. I don't know what I'm supposed to know about art. I just know what makes me feel, and his stuff makes me feel. Mm-hmm. It makes me think. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. So, too. Yep, that's how shit still is today. Absolutely. Yeah. So I love it.
Yeah.
It's for me.
Man, are you going back to Tampa to play on that tour? I didn't see you going back there.
To Tampa? I don't. Yeah. Nope, we're not going to Tampa this time, I don't think. All right. We're going kind of all around it. We're going playing Winter Haven. Right. Yeah.
I have a really cool aunt that just became a judge there last year.
Wow.
Yeah, my aunt Leanne Gowdy, very cool lady. But I think that you guys, I think that all of you and Gaucher, you'd get along real well.
Oh, that's
She's a good person that's trying to make a change in Florida. Anytime there's any kind of election, I always get texts from her like, you and me are the only ones in our family that are doing our part. So you better fucking vote.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah. I got to watch her get sworn in on Zoom last year. It was really cool. Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool. So between now and the Florida tour, you're hanging at home and doing stuff? Are you coming back to Waco or coming to Austin for the holidays at all?
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing a little gig in Charleston this weekend that was rescheduled because we're supposed to play at Speaking of Florida when the hurricane hit. So we'll do that. We're playing an event in Michigan, and both of those are cool because they're centered around recovery. And then, we're going to chill at home for a little bit, but Mary's family is in Houston, so it works out really great. We go see my family in Waco, and then we go see her family in Houston, and then we leave out of Austin. So we spend the day after Christmas with some of our friends.
Nice.
In Austin. Like our friend Darden Smith. We try to see Darden.
I love Darden.
I love him so much.
That book he did was great.
I need the Western Skies thing?
Yes, Western Skies.
Oh, yeah.
And the record's beautiful. The
record?
Talk about another artist that like for art's sake, just art, like just always in visually photographs, drawing, singing, making music, this like constantly expressing, just such a beautiful human being, inspiring person to be around.
He is. He's such a kick-ass song. One of my biggest regrets is that for some reason I didn't know him or I didn't connect with him when I was in Austin. And I wish that I had because he's so great. And he's one of the funniest people. He has the best stories.
Yeah.
He does. He's had his ass totally kicked by the music business, but he's still making beautiful art and just can laugh about it and be cool about it. And I just love him so much. And that Running Out of Time song on that latest record, that is a genius song. Yeah. Oh, I love him.
Yeah. Man, I feel like there's been a movement, and I know that there's a lot of sadness about mailbox money, Spotify, gas prices, and all of this shit has made it harder. And it's really, in some ways, and I hate to say this, but it's given me this hope. There's people out there now starting record labels. Even here in town, there's a bunch of people that have like really cool fucking labels. They're putting out tons of records and stuff. Nobody's making any money. And it's all kind of going back to this DIY punk rock thing and kind of weeding out the assholes that got in this to get rich, because Now it's if it was hard before, you wouldn't believe how
right.
hard it is now. So it's not like a get rich quick scheme or anything. People are literally just going back to doing art for art's sake, which it in some ways on our level it sucks financially. But in another way, for the greater good, to keep this whole thing going, it needed some kind of renaissance of business.
I agree with
And
you.
I feel like that's what we're in.
Yeah, totally. My brother has a band in Austin that is incredible called The Iron. And what they're doing is amazing. They've lived in a house together since they were 19 years old. I mean, they're really doing the band thing. They have a community of folks around them. Graham and I went and saw them at South by at 1 o'clock in the morning, and the place was Spider House Ballroom filled at 1 o'clock in the morning, and girls were screaming my brother's name. The rock star experience is so different than like the folk singer experience. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. There were hundreds of girls screaming, Roddy. But I mean, their music is cool. There's a theatrical element to it. It's very original what they're doing.
The
and
Iron?
it is this punk irons, IRONS.
Okay.
Yeah, they're so great. And they do weird stuff like recently, I don't know how to describe what they do. They're very inspired by like Frank Zappa, Captain Beefheart, but they're just original and they're writing songs. I remember one time the lead singer Hayden also produces, and I think he's a producer people are going to know about because walking in the session I did with him, I was like, this guy is a genius. Like, oh my God, I was like, and he was probably 19, 20 at the time. It was crazy. But he had written this, the song is called Future Police, and the idea is that, crime is going to be in the future very limited. So people are going to call the police because they're lonely, because that's going to be the greatest need. And I was like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff they're writing about.
Wow.
They're just amazing. But they did this thing where they decided, I can't remember if it was like a bluegrass contest or a festival they wanted to get into. So they decided, hey, we're going to have this special show at our house. And they all played shirtless. They're all skinny, super skinny vegan rock dudes, in like overalls and my brother is like playing the banjo. Like they learned how to play the banjo and the mandolin and all this stuff and redid their songs bluegrass. I mean, they're just fucking with people and it is so great. It's like such a punk rock thing, but everyone's welcome.
Yeah.
It's
well,
cool.
That's
And
what
it's
punk
really
rock's
cool.
supposed to be.
Yes. And it's great because also they're not ageist. I don't know. These youngs, they're just badass. They're so badass.
Will you introduce us so I can get him on the show? Plus, I've met him, but will you? Or you know what? I'll just reach out to him. I've met Rob before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Do they have beards?
One guy has a beard.
Yeah. There's a look with that like long-haired dude, skinny with a beard and a vintage shirt.
Yeah, it's not that.
Not that.
It's not too cool. No. It's that's what's so great about it because it's not too cool. So Graham and I went to this party. So my brother's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a party at our friend's house. Come over. There was a guy. This was during South by too. It was great. There were 3 people playing in. I was like, your friends are way cooler than me. These are the parties I wish I went to when I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
There are 3 people playing N64, 2 people playing Randy Newman songs together on a piano. One guy is like in an Egyptian garb dancing to soul records. Other people just reading at a table, like philosophizing outside, not drunk philosophy, like actually talking about ideas that are important. I was like, okay, my brother has always been cooler than me, but this is the best. This is the best. Like, no, they're not too cool. They're not skinny jean mustachio motherfuckers, as John D would say. They're community minded nerds that are excellent.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I want to talk. I want to hear him and see him.
Oh yeah.
Do they play? Where do they play? Spider House.
They play a lot. Yeah, they play a lot at Spider House. Sometimes they do Mohawk. They Swan Dive, that kind of thing. But I think they've gotten to a point now where they've got a good following. So I think they're going to try to chill a little bit and do more of a build up instead of playing so frequently. But I'll let you know when they're playing.
I missed your show. I was out of town when you and Gaucher played at 310. How was that?
It was great. Brian Bowe from Western Youth played drums with us. That was fun. Robbie played guitar.
Fantastic.
It was a bummer. I got the flu, like a flu thing from New York. So I wasn't, I didn't have the voice that I wanted to for that gig, but I was surprised because I had seen, talk about another band I love, Jane Leo. I'd seen at 310. I opened for the lead singer of Better Than Ezra there one time, but other more like standing rock things I'd seen there. I wasn't sure how it was going to work for a seated acoustic show, but man, when they closed the garage doors, it really works in there.
Oh,
I was really blown away. Yeah, and of course it's beautiful, and Carlos runs sound.
I love Carlos.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, in Skyrocket, we just booked I think 4 or 6 shows we're for next year there because the experience there is great. Everyone's great.
The green room, they couldn't be kinder. It's just awesome.
The green room's awesome, but in a 7-person band, it's a little much. Any green room with us is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Luckily, no one in the band is super stinky. We're very lucky on that level because we are stuck in very small rooms together a lot.
Yeah.
So you won't be playing in Austin again until February 25th at Seaboys, right?
That's right.
Okay, there was a thing I meant to ask you while you were talking about you're going off and doing your own headlining shows and stuff during this time, which congratulations. I'm very proud of you for that, and you much deserved. How are you doing them? Just by yourself with an opener or
Yeah, mostly by myself. There are a couple spots when I'll team up with some friends. I'm playing in Oklahoma, so I'll have some friends in Oklahoma join me in Tulsa. In Little Rock, Bonnie Montgomery and I are going to team up for that one. Do you know Bonnie at all?
No. I thought you said Monty Montgomery. And I was
No, Bonnie Montgomery. Okay. She's a supreme badass. She's a trained opera singer, but she's from Arkansas, I think the Ozarks. And I got to write with her at the House of Song a few months ago. I was staying there just to write and play the Fresh Grass Festival. And she was around, so I said, man, I've been wanting to write with Bonnie Montgomery for years. I think the first time I met her was through Rosie Flores at an all-women do Elvis show. But she's she can actually do Blue Bayou. You know what I mean? When she does it, you're like, yep, that's how Linda would be cool with that. She's incredible. Yeah. And I'd seen her do some of her own material, but a lot of the stuff I'd seen her do wasn't stuff she'd written. But I've always wanted to write with her, and I can't wait to write more with her. Man, she's a fantastic writer. She's such a good hang, a great vibe, and I'm excited to team up with her there. But yeah, mostly it's going to be me doing the troubadour thing out there with my acoustic guitar, and I feel ready. And in some ways I'm nervous to do it for 90 minutes, but all this stuff I've done opening for Gaucher, particularly, man, talk about, okay, now you're going to a different country with a completely different culture, so you got to shake up what you say. In a way, I feel like I've got some road tested stuff that works, and I can do it. But that was a whole skill I've had to learn. We've talked about that before, but so I feel ready now.
At Seaboys, you'll be doing the gang, like Brian and.
I'm gonna have the gang. Mark Hallman. I just got an email from him right before we got on, and he is gonna play drums.
You're fucking kidding me.
About that.
My favorite drummer, man.
Yes.
Did I ever tell you about the day that I had this great idea? It was I don't know, 12 or 13 years ago, and I emailed Hallman and Mark Addison.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is the band. Me, Hallman on drums, Addison on bass. Let's do this band.
Addison on bass.
Yeah. This is the band.
I was wondering, would you put him on keys or not? Because you're a keys guy. How would that? Yeah.
I'm a terrible bass. To do it all night. I can come up with a cool bass line and play on a song, but all night, that just sounds horrible. It sounds like too much work. But I neither one of them wrote me back. That was the best.
Oh
no! Complete silence, man. Crickets.
Oh no!
So that band never happened. But I've always wanted to do a thing where he played. I love him. You're so lucky. I'll be there that night.
I feel very, very fortunate. Yeah, that's not lost on me. I'm glad he agreed to do the record. I'm glad we did it in the original Congress House.
The OG.
And I'm really glad that I feel like it was just the conditions of the lockdown and the pandemic, the way that it was, lent itself to just have Mark do it.
Yeah.
As in, like, let him play everything. Let him guide it, because he knows he's 12 steps ahead. He knows how he's going to build it.
I miss his records that he makes where he would be involved on that level. Like I do. Yeah. Like the Eliza and Ian Matthews and all that shit, where it was like some person singing and playing acoustic guitar and then just Holmanville.
Yeah.
Playing shit like talking drum and harmonica and just like shit you want to hear the dude play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, I mean, as I listen back, so I'm doing this thing for the record, which has been really cool, is I decided to make a music video for every song on the record. And every person that's making the music video is a songwriter.
Oh, awesome.
So that has been really cool, because songwriters really know story.
Who did Missing Someone?
Nielsen Hubbard and Joshua Britt.
Okay.
Do you know them?
No.
Nielsen and Joshua are in a band called the Orphan Brigade with another guy named Ben Glover, who is a fantastic songwriter, also a hypnotist. He hypnotized me this morning. This is a new thing I'm trying. He's great, really, really great. But Nielsen is also a producer, so he's produced the last two records for Mary. He made one of my favorite Sam Baker records. He's killing it in Nashville. But he also does a lot of videos. Like, he did a lot of videos for John Prine.
Oh wow!
He does a lot of Isabel videos, and I really wanted to involve Nielsen in some way. The idea for the video was pretty much mine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm very excited that my friend Rike, who's also my hairdresser, agreed to be in it. He's the guy that does the flip. He's a bundle of joy. So that was special. But yeah, it's been really cool, because that one was the one where I was kind of like, this is what I want to happen for this one. But everybody else has really brought their interpretation of the song, which has been fascinating. Right. But watching them, when I see, like, and there's a thing that Mark does for like 3 seconds, and I go, well, that is the coolest thing that happens in the song. Yeah. It's this thing that Mark does, harmonica part, this guitar solo, this vocal coming in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. You know, Sela did the video for the title track. I used a lot of Austin folk.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and it was, very, very Sela. And it's cool because she did the artwork for the last record, she and Emily Shirley. Right. So Emily did the layout, but Sela did the artwork. And it's a great transition, because the title track is the first track on the record.
Right.
And so the video really looks like it's a great transition for that, and a lot of other reasons. And Benjamin Violet from Pelvis
I love
Presley.
him so much.
Oh, Benjamin's the best. So he did a video for me that is like, he took it to the next level, like absolutely heartbreaking. And then the Lynn's twins.
Oh yeah, love them too, man. That's how it's so funny. I was gonna go see my friend Einar. You know Einar. Einar was playing drums with Lord Friday the 13th.
What?
And and Benjamin was playing bass. And
oh my god!
And Einar said, "Hey, you should come. We're playing tomorrow night at Cheer Up Charlie's." And I was like, cool. So I was gonna go see them. But then the morning of the show, I had the morning news on, and then I had it on mute, and I was just doing shit around my house, and I walked by the TV, and there was Pelvis Presley performing, and I was like, what the fuck is this band? Like, I've got to hear this. So I'm like running around trying to find the remote. I put it on. They're awesome. They say the name. I look them up. I write Ben this long ass thing on Instagram, how basically like I was walking through my house and you were the coolest person I've seen in years. And then you were the coolest sounding person I've seen in years. Yep. I love you. Will you be on my podcast? And he was like, yeah. And then when I went to Cheer Up Charlie's that night, it was their record release, or their single release. Oh, and so he walked through the door and we both were like, it's you. Like, yeah, it was great.
Oh, I met him as have met so many of my favorite musical people and just people in general through Lizzie Lehman. Lizzie Lehman is a gateway to awesome people. She's connected me to the best people on earth.
Yeah.
I love Lizzie for that. Yeah.
I love her.
He was playing in Cary, Illinois with her. Yeah.
He was. He was in the artist. Pelvis Presley was in the Austin Music Foundation Artist Development Program a couple years ago.
Oh, fantastic.
I think it was during the pandemic. I can't remember if it was the year after or something. But yeah, I love them. I do. Jaimee, this has been great talking to you. People can find you at jaimeharris.com. This record, Boomerang Town, drops on February 17th. You have to wait a long time. But you said how Love Is Gonna Come Again is coming out soon?
Yeah, on the 30th.
Okay.
So that's like November 30th.
Okay. Oh, that's like this week.
That's this week, yeah.
Yeah. And so when does the other single, there's another single, How Could You Be Gone?
It's going to be, the Fair and Dark Haired Lad.
Oh,
that's
sorry,
going to be,
Sorry.
yeah, and that's going to be January 11th.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been beautiful talking to you.
I love you,
I love
Johnny.
you.
Thank you for having me on, and thanks for having such a great
Hey,
podcast.
you sang on my EP at the Congress House.
I did.
That's the last thing I did there.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's funny.
Sorry.
The other day I was sitting down when we were in the Netherlands, and I was sitting down. We got to see what happens. It's so funny, right? This record, I think I have an idea of where the next record is going to go. Of course, as I'm talking about this record that's about to come out, I'm like, I think I know what's happening for the next record. And so I was looking at Everyone's Got Something, because I think it would fit in that vibe.
Oh, wow.
And I was playing it the other day, and Mary's like, what is that? I was like, I wrote this with Johnny Gowdy, and then you brought in Scrappy, which is great. And
Scrappy,
yeah,
I
it
know.
was like,
Oh, that would be awesome, man. How exciting.
yeah, I'll let you know if it pans out. I got to see what happens, but I'm like,
Sure.
this might fit in this collection of songs.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling than when you finish a record and it's in the process of doing its thing, and you know what the next thing is. I remember having that in a band where there was this one song that we wrote at the very last minute and added it at the last minute to the record, and we were like, "That's the bridge to the next one." And then we just kind of started writing and knew what we were doing and had like a focus of what we didn't want to do mostly.
Yeah, you just reminded me. I mean, that's kind of how this record came about in a way. Like, I'd done the Congress House sessions with Mark, and we recorded Like You as part of that.
Right.
Which is, so as part of those sessions. And then I was listening, and, Mark, of course, one of the things that makes him such a great producer is he doesn't give you the answers, he guides you to the answers, right?
Right.
So that you have the power to find those for yourself, and that's one of the reasons why he's so brilliant.
Yeah.
We're listening, and I'm like, yeah, what do you think? He's like, what do you think? And I said, to me, it kind of feels like the start of another record, not the addition of the last one. He goes, yep. And so that's like that was the springboard to Boomerang.
Amazing.
And then in this record, I kind of had a little bit of a plan where I go, I want to write a record that's very, this is me as a hardcore, songwriter operating in the wheelhouse of Nancy Griffith and Townes Van Zandt and Eliza. This is the core of what I do as a songwriter. And then I want to do the thing that I can also do, which is write stuff that gets stuck in people's heads.
Yeah.
And something like light and fun. And some of the Florida songs really started springboarding to that. So I feel like Missing Someone, like you were talking about, is the bridge. I feel like that's the bridge to where I'm going.
Yeah.
With the next project.
I mean, that's the thing about your writing is that you do have the depth and weight of a folk writer, but you also know how to sing it in a way people want to sing along with.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. That's a tough, it's very tough to bridge that thing, because a lot of times someone that is attracted to melody like I am, I have to sit down and really focus with somebody that doesn't, as a writer, focus on that. That's not really what their main focus is. It's hard for me, because that's what I take first from a song. Obviously. I mean, I think if you listen to my music, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a lot of people, and that's the difference, I think, between poetry and music as well, is that we have melody, so there's so much we can do with it,
right,
in a meaningful way.
I'm wearing a Western Youth shirt. I didn't even think about that. They're not even a band anymore. They're gone. What's the new band? Restos?
Restos.
I gotta go
Which
see
I think
them.
is the Remains. I think it's Spanish for the
Los Restos. Los Restos. The Remains. Well, I love you, and I'm really, really, really proud of you for this record, and just like what you've done with the Jaimee Harris like person, how you've taken care of yourself, and how it's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
Thanks
nice
for being an early believer and letting me hang out at your house and letting me drink all your coffee.
that I still tell people that day that was so, I've never seen anybody, like I was starting to be like, yeah, you're not going to go to sleep until like next week. You just kept on like, hey, can you mind if I have another cup of coffee? I'm like, man, that is fucking Cafe Bustelo or like espresso. Like some people drink that in the morning and they're up till midnight. Like,
I did have a moment in Key West where I definitely had a Cafe Bustelo overdose. So I have been chilling on the Bustelo. I accidentally got a cortado or something, and it was like, my eyeballs are like bursting out of my head. I don't never know where Cuban coffee for me. No thanks.
Were you there at that hurricane that was in September? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
The latest one, the Nicole one?
No, yeah. Oh. No, we weren't there. We were supposed to play Charleston, though.
Oh, okay.
And that got wiped out. Yeah. So.
I was there before that one in September. Like, I left the day before. Wow. Like, they closed the airport, like, 12 hours after I left.
Man, I was bummed. I was going to go to Captiva, right, in San Sebastián. And I stopped in Naples because I wanted to see this particular thing on the Florida trip. But I didn't exactly have time to go to Captiva. So I was like, I'll go a different time. And, of course, that just got wiped off the face of the earth in that hurricane. Oh, devastating.
Yeah. They rebuilt that Sanibel Bridge pretty fast, though, I think.
Oh, they did? That's fantastic.
It's back, yeah. Well, rich white people, they get stuff done. Yeah. It's not like Puerto Rico. Like, they're still dealing with a hurricane from like 5 years ago, like still trying to get their power grid together. But they got that bridge up and running in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, especially if DeSantis has like a national eye. You know, he's going to make sure that I get fixed, yeah.
All right, before we get into the DeSantis conversation, it's been great talking to you. I love you. I'm having this, do you know this lady that has LoriRadio.com?
No.
She's coming over to do a podcast in a bit, and I'm going to tell her about you. She plays all-female music. Check it out. It's cool. I think you would work
Lori
on that.
Radio.
Yep. I'm going to pitch you to her. I'm going to do a radio pitch.
Thank you.
Yeah. And honest, I told you once at One to One Bar, I think the first time I ever saw you play was that I would sign you if I had a label. I so would. I should have just borrowed a bunch of money from people then and been like, trust me.
Thank you. Your Graham and I said that we were at Southside this year and we saw Jane Leo and then we saw my brother's band. And it was funny because we were like, if we were a label, these are the two bands we would sign immediately. I mean, look at the response. It's like just so obvious. And it's like, that's what South by used to, part of the deal. It's like, where are the people? Yeah. Like, these are the two things you need to see.
Yeah. I just saw them and I hosted a show that they were on Jane Leo, and they're incredible. They are incredible. Both of them are incredible individually and together they're amazing.
I am so here's something that makes me thrilled. So when I put out Red Rescue, it came out the same day as the Western Youth Record. And this year, February 17th, Jane Leo is also putting out their record on the same day.
Oh,
and
awesome.
we both work with a team in the Benelux called Mars. So they help us in the Netherlands and Germany and Belgium, and they signed Jane Leo as well for that territory. So we're super excited to be partners in that world. And
can do some touring together.
Yeah. Well, I wish I was that cool.
You are, Jaimee. You are.
Cool.
Oh, you never met Rosie.
Oh, Rosie.
I don't think you can see her. She went to the window to see what the problem is. You know, it's funny. I was just moving out of the way and I was looking at your picture and I was like, I don't see her. But then I'm like, I was looking at the wrong picture. What a dumbass. All right. This is the fourth time I'll say goodbye, but I love you. Okay. And it's been so great talking to you. And
thank you.
And congratulations.
Maybe tonight, my friend. Maybe when you're driving, love will call.
That was my friend Jaimee Harris. What an amazing conversation that was. Get her album Boomerang Town drops on February 17th on 30 Tigers, produced by Mark Hallman. She starts her Florida tour today, January 3rd in Winter Haven, Florida. Go to JaimeeHarris.com for all things Jaimee Harris. Don't forget to get your tickets for February 25th at Seaboys here in Austin. It's going to be an exciting show. I love Jaimee Harris. I really do. I love talking to her. I miss her. I'm glad that she's out doing everything, but I wish she still lived here so I could hang out with her all the time. That's the truth. I love me some Jaimee Harris. Hey, gang, when you're out there checking out JaimeeHarris.com, don't forget that you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is you find podcasts. New shows every Tuesday and every Friday. We drop from the vaults all the time on Saturday nights late. Just keep on checking back. Subscribe. You'll get an alert whenever we drop a new show. So, yeah, subscribe, like it, give us some stars, let us know how we're doing. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast, Stitcher, anywhere you get podcasts. Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcast, everywhere. We're everywhere, baby. I think TuneIn is Amazon Podcast. Sorry, I'm crazy. Jaimee Harris and her album Boomerang Town coming soon. Her singles Missing Someone and Love Is Gonna Come Again available now. Go to JaimeeHarris.com for all your Jaimee Harris needs. Have a great week. I'll talk to you Friday. Let's get down.
I know you don't believe me yet. Stuck inside your head. Wonder what you could have said. In that bed, love will find you and remind you of the things you thought you'd give up feeling. Love is gonna come again. I know it hurts like hell right now, and only you know how. No one can tell you when. Oh, but love is gonna come again. Lying in your sheets alone, hiding from your telephone as it echoes through your empty home. No way of knowing if you'll have anything close to what you had then. Love is gonna come again. I know it hurts like hell right now, and only you know how. No one can tell you when. Oh, but love is gonna come again. Joy will find its way to you. Maybe it'll come with the morning dew, right where those flowers grew. Butterflies flew, and on their wings they always bring the kind of peace to ease your grieving. Love is gonna come again. Oh, love is gonna come again.